What's up, everybody? I am back with Love and Marriage Huntsville Season 10, Episode 15, Lay Down, Stand Up. Before I start, make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. Click the notification bell button so you can be updated on every video. Make sure you like all the videos so I can stay in the algorithm. Shout out to all the new subscribers. And thank you for those who have still been here, have never left my side. Thank you. Yeah. I have some church announcements, but you know what? I'm going to post this on my community wall. Why? Because this review is going to be a little lengthy. Okay? All right. So the episode starts with Tisha and Marsau, right? They're at the Schultz office, which I actually thought was already built. So apparently it's not built. They're still in the process of building it. Tisha is wanting to start her realty firm, but Marsau is saying that he wants Tisha to understand that he's building an office and it's moving along, I guess, the way it's supposed to move along. Marsau says in his confessional it's disheartening because out of those who see him, he would expect Tisha to see him more. He goes on to say that when your partner doesn't know where you are, the only feeling you feel is loneliness. Now, I don't know what he was talking about from that retrospect, but I'm just gonna go ahead and assume we talking about his work ethic. So Tisha wants things to be done between, while he's doing the office, you should be able to also work on Scott Manor. Like those things should be done at the same time. So I'm gonna ask, and I'm just gonna assume he may not have enough employees to be able to do that. I don't know if it's a financial thing or what, but she's just getting frustrated because she wants things to be completed. She's asking for grace in that aspect as well when it comes to her frustrations with him about not having things to be complete. She enjoys working from home but she'd rather just kind of be in the office and just kind of come in and out where she's not always working from home. So I really do understand her perspective. I understand her frustration for that. All right. And he's also asking her to be patient with him. So Tisha said in her confessional, she loves being a mom, but she wants something outside of the home, simply because she's home all the time. She's working from home. Marsau said the goals are always changing. But I remember when we first met them, they had that 5-year goal. And I know at one of those points, Tisha was wanting to make some changes. But Marsau was saying how she wanted to move the goalposts. But we're past that 5-year mark. And I think, even though I've never been a stay-at-home mom, and shout out to y'all, but I feel like I know what Tisha is going through because I'm here manhandling the kids and I just want to out. I just want to be able to work outside of the house. So Marsau lets Tisha know, MJ will be headed off to college and eventually the girls will be too. So what would things look like for them, because it's just going to get harder and harder. So what's going to get harder and harder? Is it going to be harder for you to continue to build? Is it, again, goes back to my question at hand. Is it a finance thing? Is it not enough staff? Like, what is it that's causing Schultz or Scott Manor not to be built in a timely manner? So we get to Kimmy and Maurice. Also, I really want to say this before I move on to Kimmy and Maurice. I really hope that, you know what, I'm gonna keep my thoughts. I'm gonna keep my thoughts until tomorrow. Y'all catch the live with me, Mrs. Bess, Watch Your Mouth Reviews, and Shayna. We will be going live tomorrow to discuss Love and Marriage Huntsville. It's going to be okay. We're working on four different time zones. So if you're in Central Time Zone, it is going to be 6 p.m. my time. 7 p.m. Shayna's time. I want to say 4 p.m. is his best time, and 5 p.m. Watch Your Mouth reviews his time. Okay, so I don't know. Yes. So that's the other thing I wanted to say. But tomorrow, catch us tomorrow, and I will give y'all my... I really do want to hold my applause about Tisha and Marsau, because I really have been kind of hard on them. But I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I hope, and I know there are time constraints when it comes to building projects. There are things that happen that cause delays and all of the things. So for me, I'm hoping that he's not putting things off on purpose so she won't have an outlet. Sometimes I think that when it comes to him and him always wanting to keep her here, I've always had pause about that. I think Tisha is a brilliant woman. He knows her brilliance. He knows her. He knows who she is. But it just, sometimes people just get jealous, y'all. And I'm not trying to be that person, but sometimes people get jealous. So then we get to Kimmy and Maurice. And I really need them to stop calling MJ, Junior, the other name, instead just call him Maurice. But I guess it's just it's a habit. It's a habit that that not Kimmy, both. It's a habit that they both should get out of. I just don't like the connotation of a young black boy being called monster. That's all. Anyway, Maurice talks about how, he's cheering Maurice Jr. on, and, he purchased a car for him. But in order for him to get the car, because he's still holding the keys, Maurice Jr. grades aren't up to par. So Maurice said that Junior wants to be like Jalen. However, they didn't have to talk with Jalen about his grades or, all of the things. So I'm just thinking, well, maybe he's struggling. And sometimes I think Maurice, like Kimmy said, he don't want to see sometimes the reality. I think he thinks whatever is supposed to happen in his brain is supposed to happen in everybody else's brain. But Kimmy tells Maurice he expects both of the boys to wake up and just wake up in the morning, just prepare, just be on prepare. And she goes on to say that in his head, he also expects the boys to have foundations that they built on internally. Kimmy feels like foundations is external first. Maurice tells her that he wanted it from the time he was young. And she has to tell Maurice, yes, you wanted it from the time you were young, but they are not you. He wants to consistently and constantly instill the things that he have learned. Some of those behaviors that probably need to be unlearned, he wants to shove that onto Maurice Jr. and Jalen. And I suspect he also wants to shove that onto Kimmy. Anyway, Kimmy tells Maurice for him being in a struggle has played a major role in how he parents. She also tells him that it has also made him the person that he is today. So Maurice agrees with Kimmy. He says that she's correct on her assessment of him and his upbringing. So she also feel like, Maurice is not vulnerable and he's not open enough to the parts that he can actually do better. Kimmy said to Maurice that she can point out, he has the ability to point out everybody else's stuff, everybody else's flaws, but he can't seem to see his own stuff. So then they talk about therapy. Maurice said that he didn't want to do it at first because nobody has all the answers. He said that he don't need a bunch of cliches, but stuff he can use on a regular basis. Maurice, a therapist, is basically here to help you navigate in a more positive way, in a way, in a more healthier way, where those behaviors that you've learned, you absolutely have to unlearn those behaviors and show up in a more healthier way. The way you think, the way you talk. We therapists are not here to give you all the answers. That's just the way it is. Anyway, Kimmy then tells him, him being open, accountable, and vulnerable is what moves the needle. She also tells him that he does need an unbiased person to say, hey, listen, you can work on that, or, yeah, it's you. It's not per se them, but it is actually you. You need an unbiased person so they can kind of help you do a self-check. But you also have to want to do a self-check. Okay? So Kimmy tells him that, she feels like it's easier for him to blame her and to push the envelope always towards her. And I actually enjoyed their conversation. I enjoyed when Marsau was talking to Tisha. The one thing I do say when it comes to, I like how Kimmy's not afraid to express herself, but Marsau and Maurice have a way of not always giving him a space to be expressive, or kind of like in Marsau's case, it's like he makes Tisha feel bad for expressing her thoughts and her opinion, and so she keeps them down. She keeps them inward, which disrupts her nervous system. I just want more for Tisha. So we get to the Fletchers. This is gonna be real quick. Nell said she's over. She tells Fletch about the winery. She also tells Fletch about the basket game, about the whole basket thing, and how Tisha brought a snake and how she was directing everything towards her. And she said that she didn't want to share with them because basically she's not really cool with them like that. So Fletch asked, hey, what's the real issue between you and Tisha? So Nell responded and said, you and Marsau. And so, again, Nell, you got to step outside of yourself. If this is my thing, if these two men not arguing and fighting, I'm not finna argue with nobody else and fight with nobody else behind their man. If the people are saying something on the blogs, it is those people business. If this lady chooses to stay, if she wanted to talk to you about it, she'll talk to you about it. Also, I want to take this moment to shout out Feel Good. You see, me and you are on the same page. It is good. It's called growth. Anyway, Nell said, I'm looking for my, Nell pointed out once again, y'all two are cool. Meanwhile, me and Tisha are beefing, and you really don't have to beef with Tisha. I think sometimes you can ask her a question and she's going to feel away, but that goes back to her and Marsau. That goes back to the lack of reassurance that we'll get to later. Fletcher asked Nell, how was she responsible? And she tells Fletch, I told Destiny. So she didn't just tell Destiny, keep my name out your mother clucking mouth. She told Destiny messy ass that not only did she say that, but she went on to say, before I expose some things that I already know. And I'm just like, girl. Now, I'm going to be with Tisha on her side, because if you said all that, you wrong for that. Okay, all because that lady said, she may have misinterpreted, but again, you said that you had left because your son was having a baby. And she just repeated it. But at this point, I need both ladies to stop repeating anything. Like, we just needed to just come to a halt. But I guess not, because Sister Wanda gonna be here next week. Okay, and y'all know I live for pump it up, Miss Spritz Wanda. Okay, in her bob. Okay. Anyway, I just need those ladies to let it go. Let go and let God. All right. So then we get to Marsau and Tisha. So Tisha is there with a therapist, a intimacy coach. Sorry, y'all. She has an intimacy coach there, and then Marsau walks in. Marsau, they go on to have a conversation with the intimacy coach, and he tells her that he has to ask Tisha for a hug. But at the same time, they don't have to sleep together. Now, I can kind of see that, because Wanda, I'm going to just say this. Y'all forgive me. Wanda seemed like the type of person, or Tisha was a little girl, she would probably go up to Miss Wanda and say, "Hey, Miss Mama, can I have a hug?" And Miss Wanda is probably one of them men that was like, "Get the fuck out of my face. Go hug your ass down somewhere." Like one of them. So because Wanda don't seem like the huggy type, which I told y'all in the last episode when they went to go see Miss Wanda, she hugged her mom, but it didn't seem genuine, because that is not something that we normally see them do. So, I don't know. Tisha, there are some people out there that are just not intimate. Like, she's emotionally there, but like being intimate, touching is probably not her thing. And that can also play a part, because all she had to do, as her being a wife, like, she had the kids, she had to be a stay-at-home mom, so she gave all of her time and her attention to the kids in the home, having to cook. She had to do everything around the house. So I'm pretty sure at some point it probably became tiring over the years. I just don't want to rule that out. But Marsau said his love language is physical touch, which, most guys like physical touch. Okay. So Wanda, oh, you know what? I'm sorry, y'all. So Tisha finally gets, now, this is where Tisha finally gets to the meat and potatoes as to why everything is just frustrating to her. Partially with the whole, the whole situation with the, y'all, I'm spacing. The whole, moving into the building or moving into their new home situation, that can be frustrating, because she also said that they're still, bunched in the home that they have, which when you actually look at the outside of that home, which I know that that's not Scott Manor, it is actually a nice house. That's all. Like, it's a nice house. So Tisha finally gets to the point, and she tells Marsau, she's guarded because she feel like she have to fight for him. AKA, he is not reassuring that lady, okay? And all of these rumors and all of the things. And this lady nervous system is still out of whack after 19, 20 years. Lord, this lady nervous system is in shambles, okay? Now, I don't think that she knew about him and I guess whatever alleged past cheatations. I'm pretty sure she suspect. And with them being on TV and there's a microscope on them, I'm sure that the rumors have gotten, we've seen how bad the rumors have got, even until this date. I think if Marsau really reassures her, she really wouldn't be worried about nothing else. She wouldn't be trying to fight for him. That is her basically saying, "Hey, sir, I need you to let me know that everything is copacetic. Like, you ain't got no lady in between. You ain't in somebody tuna twat. Okay? That's all." Anyway, He asked her if does he defend himself. She said no. And she was like, you don't defend yourself basically because you don't care. He tells her he feels like he's paying a price for what others see. No, you are paying a price for not giving her reassurance. That is a scary place to be. And when you don't get that, you tend to go numb. You tend to shut down and nothing else starts to work. Anyway, he said that he's not accepting none of the things that people have said about him over the years and all of the things. Yeah, because again, you're probably the type of person that if somebody says something, it don't bother you. It may not bother you, but understand it bothers your wife. And you don't take that into consideration. And that's the thing I do not like. But, whatever. So he wants her to be more confident in their relationship. You see, y'all, here is the I ask, but I'm not giving. That's what it is. The Scott brothers ask of their wives, and they have the audacity, but they don't give anything in return. You want her to be more confident in y'all's relationship. However, you won't reassure her. So when she comes to you and ask you, is any of the rumors true? Whatever it was, over the years, you'll sit there and play right in her face. Or you'll go all the way around the mulberry bush just to tire her out and confuse her. So it does make it seem like you've been lying over the years. I'm not saying you're lying. I'm just saying your explanations have been on BS. And speaking of BS and explanations, we get down to Kimmy and Maurice. And they're meeting with the marriage menders. All right? It's a couple. Apparently, they've been seeing them for a few sessions now. And he wants them to talk about what's important to them and the things that they decide that they're going to forego. Hold on. So Maurice gets in his confessional and he decides to say that schmex is an act and intimacy is a connection, and they should already be at their highest of the highest. Which since they're at their highest and highest of intimacy, then schmex should always play a part. So Kimmy says she doesn't get enough quality time. Maurice is asking if they can schedule schmex days. So we get a montage of Maurice in a car talking to Kimmy about it. I want to say they had that conversation outside while she was going through her cancer treatments. And then when they were around Dr. Francis, they had that session with Dr. Francis. So we get all of those montage about him wanting schmex. And so one of the things I wrote in my notes, like, did you learn growing up how schmex would make you a man? Were you sexually abused? I mean, is it one of the reasons why you and your ex-wife didn't work out? Or, are you just making up for lost time? Like, these are the things that I put in because y'all remember Maurice used to be heavyset. Again, no shade to nobody that's heavyset. This is me asking. And you didn't get as much. You wasn't as attractive, so you didn't get as much. So now you want it all. You want it. Like, I just need to know what happened. And we actually get that. We actually get that from Maurice. So Maurice wants to get schmex, but he doesn't want to give off the intimacy. And sir, I am here to tell you that you have to be intimate. There should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 plays. Okay? 12 of them. Okay? Not shout out to Robert Kelly, but shout out to Robert Kelly. Okay? Anyway, Kimmy again is asking for intimacy / quality time only, but I feel like in that moment he was saying that his reward should be schmex. It should end up being, if I'm giving you this, my reward at the end should be schmex. Again, this is what I want from you. This is what I expect from you, but I don't want to give you what you're needing. Oh, it gotta be exhausting being a Scot. Okay? So Maurice is hell bent on wearing Kimmy down to get what he wants. Now, it makes sense, y'all. It makes sense how his daddy locked up that refrigerator. It makes sense. They couldn't get what I guess it make a lot of sense. Their dad, they was probably giving in ways that their dad was expecting, but their dad wasn't giving to them in ways like the refrigerator locked up. So now it's like they mimic this behavior in their relationships. Y'all, it's crazy. So Kimmy says he wanted too much, and she's not always in an emotional space to give it. And it's like he was saying 2 to 3 times. So my question was it 2 to 3 times a day, or is it 2 to 3 times a week? But still, we also have to understand that this lady, once again, just kind of went through her cancer treatment. She was a cancer survivor. And while all of that was going on, he wanted her to muscle through, his words, muscle through, schmecks. So the therapist suggests Maurice could be hypersexual. I mean, there could be some hypersexuality going on. And so she asked him, do he believe a woman can go on and on? And she said, do he believe a woman can go on and on several times a day, every day? And his response was, someone told him coming up, he can lay down longer than a woman can stand up. She asked him, who told you that? And he said he just heard it growing up. So basically what he's saying is that her endurance can outlast his. Sir, I need you to know a couple things. Just because you think that, even though that a woman's endurance can be long lasting, what you don't understand is, well, you do understand. So here is the thing. Too much can make you swell up. Okay, we swell, and that hurts. Okay, they get dry. There are tears. Your muscles get tired. There is always that risk of UTI and yeast infections. I don't know if I'm not supposed to say that, but there are risks because you have to go to the bathroom, and you just probably be so ready and willing that you don't shake Mr. Willy Wonka, and you coming back. Y'all use y'all imagination, okay? So our lady parts are just as sensitive, but all you want to do is beat it up. So, I just want you to know a woman's body is made for pleasure. Okay? So if Kimmy says she is not always emotional, she's not always in an emotional space, I'm pretty sure she's not always in a physical space as well. So I think when she says that, you should definitely listen to her. Anyway, so the therapist asked Maurice what would happen since Kimmy is asking for more time and affection. He said that that's not going to happen. I was like, wow. So Kimmy at this moment is frustrated because who says that? And she said, him saying that, it makes it is basically him for her, him saying that to her, it's not received in such a positive space. So anyway, the therapist said he's saying that for a reason. Again, fine. At this point, Maurice wants it when he wants it, and that's just what it is. So that means I'm a move my time, and I'm a maneuver it for you, and I'm a come and hug you, and I'm a kiss you here, and I just want you to be ready and available. Anyway, we find out that Maurice's dad, He used to put a lock on a refrigerator door, whether they had company or not. He said that it was embarrassing, it was hurtful, and the therapist feels like that is tied into him wanting and needing schmecks. He feels like the refrigerator is there for food. We should be able to consume food whenever we want. I.e., you're my wife. So you should be able to give me schmecks whenever I want it. And you can't be tired about it. Anyway, he said, so while he's doing that, he then, because, again, my therapist told me this, but he's justifying his father's actions, but at the same time, he's also telling the therapist how he felt, how all of that made him feel. And they asked him, how does he self-soothe? He said, magazines, and, he do his business by himself. Okay. So that was my question. Was he self-soothing as a kid? Was he self-soothing as a young man when the refrigerator was locked up? He would then in turn and self-soothe in an intimate way by himself. I don't know. It was just how, production was a little choppy. So, so they asked him, Maurice says that he tells Kimmy that he lacks emotional intelligence. Duh. And she apologizes to him, and she said that she used to always make excuses for him. Now, for me, I would like to say, I'm pretty sure as she apologized, the way she apologized meant she has apologized to him far too long and way too many times for his personal trauma. His trauma has nothing to do with you. But Kimmy said it earlier how he will push the envelope towards her, how he will make her responsible. And I feel like because you have these issues that has been around long before I have, you somehow have made it, you tried to make it my issue and project your stuff. You put your stuff onto me based on me being your wife. And you feel like because I'm your wife, I'm just supposed to give up the goods. And girl, please, the way I would send you down the street by a hoe named Barbara, Maurice, get the fuck out of my face. Okay? Because I just get annoyed that you have no regard for this lady. And I get it. I will say this. I would never discount anybody's trauma, because everybody's trauma is important. It irks me and it irritates me when you take your trauma and you place it on the back of other people, instead of just dealing with your trauma, which is why you probably didn't want to go to therapy, because again, I don't know, y'all, but the lady therapist decides to affirm Maurice. This is where the episode ended. Like I said, Wanda and Nell gonna get into it next week. Look like Wanda gonna cross some lines. Y'all know how Wanda do, okay? It don't make it right. But we'll see. Anyway, y'all, this is your girl Q1 reminding you to keep showing up, keep growing, stay true to yourself, y'all, and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye.